1:1. Being the Son of God makes it no easier, no less painful, no less unhealed. 1:2. Everyone will want to touch it. Everyone, especially those who deny its existence. 1:3. You will want to touch it too, to feel the sting and steep that says, incredibly, you are alive. 2:1. Being the son of Mary makes her tears no easier, her gasp, her soothing hands that cannot stanch this wound. 2:2. Everyone will want it shrouded. Everyone, especially those who were there and saw the damage done. 2:3. You will want to shroud it too, to smooth the sore that once was skin, that says, irrefutably, humans are this violent, this cruel. 3:1. Being humankind, the Son of Man makes it, no, easier with the pain, the tears, the gasp of unwanted recognition. 3:2. Everyone will want it. To remain yours, not theirs, especially not theirs, not ours, not mine. 3:3. You will want to not want it, too much, addictive, the wound that says inaudibly, I am not you, I am. So for some reason, I do sort of identify with Jesus a bit, which is kind of his role. He sort of says, here I am, identify with me. And I have a very limited understanding of Christianity, as you can tell. I was reading an article by the great Russian poet, Joseph Brodsky, defending a series of poems that he'd written in the voice of the Virgin Mary, where, in a strange sort of twist in his defense, he said, did a woman ever try to play the part of Christ? And I thought, no, yes, okay, I'm going to do that. And I wrote this poem sort of in one go, really angry, and it's, I don't know, inspired by all sorts of things, but today I'd like to dedicate its reading to the American poet Adrienne Rich, who is a queer Jewish woman, yes, who I think gave us all permission to speak honestly, and I don't think she would have written this poem, but I hope that she might have heard it. And it's called On My Mother's Side. Did a woman ever try to play the part of Christ? Joseph Brodsky. I suppose you'd call it genetic modification, a moral issue even then, DNA codification spelling it out. Divine, such a drag. By day, I'm every man. By night, you'd think the moon shone out of my arse the way they act. And supporting the Son of Man tonight, we all have our cross to bear, I suppose. 4 hack journos, some roadies, camp followers. Hey, I'm the superstar of Bethlehem. Jump on my comet tail. There they go, Jesus and the disciples, top of the pops for 2,000 years. I should cocoa. I was, you know, cocoa. Tea time skin turning evening in the sun. Semitic, nose and all. Caliper my skull, metal against bone like God's voice through my yarmulke. All right already, just an experiment, just following orders. Like her. Ave Maria gratia plena, woman like a test tube, grateful to be fulfilled. An incubator of salvation. Meek and mild were my mother's milk. First vision, her dark nipple haloed by my mouth. Angels, blow your horns, suck on this. Last of the great boozers me, water into wine at the drop of a Lazarus, to mix my miracles as it were. Even that vinegar they had me drinking was better than nothing. A little toasty, the bouquet, a burnt aftertaste, crushed like a grape, must oozing out of the wounds in my hands, my side. Must. I've been under orders since before I was born. And your father, she asks, pen tapping pad. Dead, plane crash. The flight out of Egypt, you know. Not my real father, of course. He's something high up in the government. She nods. An authority figure then? I laugh. I'm a mother's boy, mummy's joy, apron strings and heartstrings crisscrossing. A symbiotic relationship. Quick tip. Must stop all this talk. Must stop contradicting myself. Turned so many cheeks I've run out of face. My mother, though, God love her, patience of a saint, and all she ever wanted was a little house in the south of France. Ah. The small matter of the stable. We never really discussed it, she and I. She told all my friends, of course, getting out the family photo album. I felt myself becoming third hand, an anecdote. Note, as a child, I thought that heresy was how you spelt hearsay. Where was I? The stables, the photos. She wrote little captions underneath. Little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Put that in your horn and blow it. No crib for a bed. Kind of unstable as starts in life go, with a bunch of middle-aged men poking around you. Sweets from strangers. If I hadn't died at 33, I'd have spent my midlife crisis in therapy, just like every other nice Jewish boy. My father was a manual labourer, but I went to college, trained to be a priest, dropped out. Not my real father, he wasn't around. The problem? Well, Doc, I think my mother's a virgin and she thinks I'm God. I'm a joke come true, a walking routine by Lionel Blue. I'm the first reformed Jew. If only Elvis had died like me at 32 before he'd gotten too big for his blue suede shoes. We've shared a brew, me and the king, matched tail for tail, till I puked and he blew. So, who's speaking elf, me or you? I'm on the road with a crew, just screwing around, bit of food, bit of booze, and it's him in my head telling me what to do. Shoot the gooks, crucifixion, daddy, daddy, we're through. I'm going to read another poem about difficult relationships with father figures. I have lots of them. It's very rich territory if anyone has it and hasn't exploited it yet. I advise it. This is from a sequence of poems that is very much ongoing about a character called Medusa, who is the Medusa of classical legend, the monster with snaky hair, but she's also a young person growing up on the south coast of Britain in the 1980s and 90s, with her mother, who is an exotic dancer, and she is starting to feel her way towards what she wants to be in the world, which is an artist. And her mother, who's called Cetus, has a boyfriend called Neptune, who is the god of the sea, but he's also a fisherman and a drug dealer, and a puzzling figure in her life. And this poem is called Proof. She hadn't understood fire was an art, and Neptune a past master of its vernacular. Not just barbecues, but a ziggurat of deadfall stuffed with old red tops come yellowing from his boot. After nightfall, he drove them to a sheltered cove known only by those in the know, who crowded to see him burn the beach, a summer bacchanal in racks of flame thrown out by spits of 40 proof. But it was lighter fluid that laced his private blaze, back of the estate, oil-drummed and roiling with his secrets, shooting up demonic underlighting on his face that made him look less male, Medusa thought, all hair and muscle turned to shadow by the flames, melted away, scarred or scared as he thrust down in the moor, swearing at burnt knuckles, fucking ouch, in his endless quixotic joust against fire's necessary touch of evil. Medusa loved to watch the embers bank and fall to ash along the grey cold margin of the dawn. She tried to read the dead black kanji cast colding in the sand, drew with them on her skin, worked through the sift and crunch until she choked and found it. Fused and walled, glass flotsam shattered by the centrifugal heat, and remade into strangeness. Glass unblown, gritted coarse with its self-source, heavy as a post-atomic proof, a charm to pull her back to Oz. She knew the drill, wrapped in her hand, hint of acrid, seafared, warp speed. It squeaked against her skin, ugly and indestructible. She knew it, the first of many. Kin. I'm going to ask your indulgence to read, I'm going to read two more poems, if that's okay. One by me, which I'll end with, and one by an Iranian poet called Tal al-Maluhi, who was chosen by English Pen as their writers to support on International Women's Day. And I've been reading this poem at every reading I've done since. Tal was 19 when she was sent to prison in the city of Homs in 2009. In a horrible irony, the only reason that she might now be alive is that she is in prison and not on the streets of Homs, which, as many of you will know, has suffered bombardment by government forces because it's known as a rebel city. She's now nearly 22, I'm sure a similar age to many of you, and still in prison for writing this poem, and although she was convicted of spying for a foreign country, because her poem was published on a site supported by an NGO. If you'd like to help support Tal, you can send her a poem, and if you look on the English Pen website, it will give you instructions on how to do this, or you can read this poem at Slam or at another event. And it was translated by Ghias al-Jundi from Farsi. You will remain an example. I will walk with all walking people, and no, I will not stand still just to watch the passers-by. This is my homeland, in which I have a palm tree, a drop in a cloud, and a grave to protect me. This is more beautiful than all cities of fog, and cities which do not recognize me. My master, I would like to have power, even for one day, to build the republic of feelings. And I'm going to end with a really short poem that comes from a sort of, I suppose, a long explanation, which I'll try and reduce. But I'm sort of completely fascinated by what's now known as Spain, but at that time was known as Al-Andalus or Sepharad, depending on whether you spoke Ladino, which was the medieval Jewish language, or Arabic. After the Muslims had conquered Spain in the 5th century up until the 14th century, there was a very vibrant culture there that included Muslims, Jews, and Christians who borrowed from each other's religion and from each other's poetry and languages to create the culture that went on to give us lyric poetry, because it was the Arabic singers leaving Spain as the Christians swept in and killed many people and forcibly converted others and exiled others, who came up into France and became the troubadours and inspired the troubadours. So I was doing a lot of reading about the origin of lyric poetry and how its origins are also tied up with mystical religious forms like Sufism and Kabbalah. And I came across this quote from Moses Cordovero, who was a Kabbalist writer who was very inspired by a number of Sufis and Christian mystics. And he said, "Then you wonder, astonished, who am I? I am a mustard seed in the middle of the sphere of the moon, in the orchard of pomegranates. When I was a girl, holy in sending, alive in receiving, I knew a word was like an angel, flaming, both message and messenger. Electric the flower in my eye, the opening of the heart. If house is a prison, home is a latticed, look up, constellation, anemone, anemometer. Its walls are muscle, pulsing. We flow within. This is return, though, the harvest moon. Such elevation. I have nothing withheld in my hands, but nothing doubled. The seed of your wish for. Thank you very much.